Hello. Today I'm really excited to share with you part of my story, my journey, one of my big awakenings that happened, and what that looked like and what came out of it, so that you may understand and see some of your awakenings, or understand how the awakening process is playing out, using myself as an example. And I also, if this is your first time visiting my YouTube station here, I do use notes. So if you see me looking down, because I want to keep myself on track, and I'm conscious of your time as well as my time, and to keep me on my storyline so I can be making my points. This also is going to what do I want to say? Emphasize why it's so important for you to do your inner work. You're going to see an example again from my life, what happened, and how it impacted me, and what I had to do in order to get where I am today. Although there's a lot more that I'm not going to be sharing that was going on, but I'm just going to share this one period of my time. And so here we go. So again, stay on until the end, because there's going to be all sorts of ahas or learnings in this that you're going to see, that you can relate to yourself or to your child, or to a friend of yours, that would be helpful. And so here, let's go. So I'm talking about when I'm in my 40s. I have 2 children, and I'm living a good life. I'm a body worker. I have good clientele, and actually this starts out that we're at vacation at the family house on a lake in Pennsylvania. I lived in Mystic, Connecticut, married, happy, and growing, not fully happy, because not, anyway, you'll get the message. But on the whole, life was good. And I was upstairs. I think the kids were in bed and the adults were downstairs doing stuff, and I just felt like going and reading, laying in bed and reading. And I was laying in bed and reading, and all of a sudden I started having this weird sensation that I had never had before, and it was kind of this doom and gloom, and it's like something was wrong. It started to feel like I couldn't get my breath, and so I got up, and then I didn't know what was wrong, and I went outside, and I was outside, and I was trying to, like, there's no reason I shouldn't be breathing correctly. And actually, one of the things that I'll share before was I was having some, I guess, some breathing problems, but it was more stress from my mother at the time, and worrying about her, and not being able to relax. And I was going to the allergist for something, and he had me do breathing, and then he says, I think you have asthma. And I'm like, no, I don't. And he goes, yeah, just try this and see if it helps. And so anyway, I tried that, and I'm like, so when this starts happening, that's a caveat before. So when this first started happening, I was like, oh, maybe I have asthma. Maybe this is an asthma attack or something like that. And, everything in my head just kept saying, no, but just go outside and just relax. And it was very disturbing. And what I had was an anxiety attack, and I had never had one before. I didn't know anything about it, and I still didn't know what was wrong. Then I started feeling like these, like, pins and needles in my heart area. Felt like I had a knife in the middle of my back. Just all these, like, weird sensations. And then I was also having this, like, burning in here. Again, everything I had never had, just all of a sudden it's coming on at once. And so now I'm starting to feel, like, what's going on, and getting, you know, worried. And so, but I kept it mainly under control, I think, for like a day or two. And then we went home, and so I was going to go to my doctor and find out. And my doctor said, oh, that's an anxiety attack. And I was like, whoosh, okay, well, how do we stop those? And, you know, just thinking, you know, we'll go through a lot of different stuff. And what are these? Oh, that's heartburn. You know, he had all the names for these things that I had never had before. And also at the same time coming up was all of a sudden my psychic abilities got really strong. And it was like I'd lay down at night and I could hear people talking, like they were talking, having phone conversations or something. And just other things that I started thinking, am I going crazy? And, you know, I started thinking, do I have schizophrenia? You know, what's going on? And then I decided that I should go see a therapist because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy. And so I went to see the therapist, and she told me I wasn't crazy, but she didn't really help a lot. And then the insomnia started growing because every time it was like my anxiety would come up in the evening. And so I would not want to go lay down because then that feeling would come up again, or around 5 o'clock also that feeling would come up, and I was very on edge. So this was very much hormonally induced too, because what I found out, discovered on my own, but the inhaler stuck to my progesterone, I believe it was progesterone or estrogen, onto the cells that the estrogen and progesterone were supposed to go on. So it was taking the place of those. And so I was at a stage in perimenopause. So, you know, any fluctuation in one way or the other would cause different symptoms. And so that was one of them, that I would have insomnia. And so, you know, they wanted to put me on, I think it was Xanax, and I took one of those and said, forget it, and then found, did my own research because I was already very much into holistic then, found kava kava and took that instead, and that worked much better for me. But in this process of going through this too, so it was like I'd be awake in the middle of the night by myself, felt so weird, but my intuition again was talking to me loud. Like it would say, okay, like we went to the bookstore, I found this book popped out. I don't know if you guys have that. I go to bookstores or libraries, and what I need kind of pops out in some way or falls on the floor, or my angels are guiding me towards whatever I'm supposed to read. Anyway, I found this like everyday book of Zen, Everyday Zen, by this woman who had a temple in San Diego. And so I started reading that at night, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like I so relate to Zen and Buddhism, and I had no idea. And so it just kind of put new idea in my head. And then my intuition was telling me, look at all your beliefs, because what had happened was too, along this way, I was like, if I'm a good girl and I do all the right things, you know, I'm eating what I think is healthy, what they're telling me, like today, what is healthy, I'm living a healthy life, I'm an honest, good person, I take care of people, I put everybody before me, you know, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm you know, I think I'm doing everything right. And it's like, if you do everything right, then everything will fall into place, and it will be good, and you won't be sick, etc. And it was like, how can I be sick if I was doing everything right? You know, it was just, even though it might not even seem all the way rational, right? It's not rational. It was just my beliefs. It was my beliefs that were driving everything. And so I was like, okay, I have to start. So it said, if that's not true, what else is not true in your life? to start looking at all of the things that, are they yours? Are they somebody else's? Just question everything. I'm reading my notes down here to just, and start following your intuition. Like, listen, you're very psychic. You have good intuition. Start trusting it and listen to it. And so that's when I just said, okay, I'll start doing that, because I wanted to get better, and I had to figure this out. It was, the therapist wasn't helping me figure it out, but I knew that this book was, Everyday Zen, was making me feel better at night. I also started making sounds. It's just like, make sounds, make a sound. So at night, or during the day, I was already doing yoga and meditation, but it would just be like, I would just get this message, make some sounds. And so I would just start making sounds from my body, whatever it felt like it was naturally wanting to make. And so I was doing my own sound healing then. So I'm looking at, you know, okay, what are the things, what are the heavy duty things I'm believing? What are the rules, the ways, the beliefs that I'm following? And, you know, and why am I following these? Where did they come from? And are they uniquely yours? And are they true? Is what you're thinking and believing and wanting, are they true? Is it yours? And I got to see, you know, in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep, that what wasn't mine, all the things that I was believing that I was taught or I was following. So what we tend to do is, particularly in our families, how this all begins, right, is in our families, we start following the rules and what needs to be done, and what do we, how do we belong to this family? We do this in order to feel safe and secure and get our needs met, hopefully. So, so a lot of that stuff comes in, and we don't even know it. And from, you know, from in the womb until somewhere between 7 and 9 years old, you are just a sponge taking in all the information around you. You don't have a conscious mind that's saying, that's right, that's wrong, that's not true, you know, that's yours, that's not mine, sort of thing, right? So it's just like you're just adapting all these different things that are coming in. Like, say you're the only girl and there's like 4 boys, and the boys are always, you know, roughhousing or teasing you or doing things, and so you have to learn how to be around those boys, your brothers, and one might be worse than all the rest, and so you never feel safe around them. So you're always on high alert, high guard, and you grow up thinking it's, you know, it's not safe to be around the masculine. You know, they're going to hurt me in some way. I have to be on high alert, or I have to act tough, or I have to be in my masculine. I'm just giving an example of that, right? So as I'm doing this, so as I start to do this, oh, I want to share the other thing is, so I'm a mother, I'm married, I have 2 children, I have lots of friends, and I have lots of acquaintances. I'm in this wonderful little town. I'm part of the community. I've been there a while. I work there. I'm a massage therapist, body worker, healer. Although I didn't know I was a healer at the time. I just thought I was a good body worker. So I'm deep in this community and part of it. And when I started all of this was coming up, one of the biggest things that came up was, who's going to take care of me? Who's going to take care of me? Because I cannot be a burden to I didn't believe anybody else, is going to take care of me. because I took care of everybody else. And if I wasn't taking care of people, then I would not be of value. And so if I'm not of value, if I'm not worthy in the community, then who's going to want to take care of me? I'm sharing this with you because I want you to see, and I will continue on more, that what we think, and a lot of it is not ours and it's not real, but we feel it's real and we think it's true, is not true. Right? So it wasn't true that people would not take care of me. It isn't true that I would be alone in my illness. I had people that loved and adored and honored me more than I did myself. More than I did myself. So I want you to see that a lot of times what we are thinking true in our world is not the truth and is not real. And also that we are the ones that is making up the story of who we are and our world. Nobody else was telling me we're not going to take care of you if you're sick and you can't take care of us. And, nobody else was saying that stuff. This was stuff I learned early on. So what are you thinking and believing? And you probably don't know yet. That's why get a coach. That's why you work with me. If you work on this stuff, your life is going to change so much better, so much better. Oh my gosh, and you will be so much more empowered. So let me continue this story, but I just see how, oh my gosh, I am thinking and believing these things that are not true, but, and feeling I'm not safe when I'm really safe. And believing that I'm, it's doom and gloom also if I'm sick, because my grandmother said to me when I was very young, don't come around if you're, unless you're dying, right? So I felt like you could not be sick, you could not ask for help, you could not, and she would, that was her funny Finnish cutting way of humor, but I'm a highly sensitive. I take things very literally, and especially at 4 years old. So anytime I was sick, I thought I was dying. Again, all these beliefs and stuff and different ways that we're influenced that have us thinking and being stressed and hurting and suffering needlessly. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. I want you to discover where it is that you are creating this world that is not really true for you, and you're perpetuating it, and you're perpetuating a world that you really don't want to be in, and so that you can start creating the ones you really do want to be in. All right. So when I started looking at, I started making a list and journaling and going back, what is my political beliefs mine or my family's? I just opened this box and just started going with whatever would kind of come up. I was perfectionist because I grew up with a narcissistic mother, but she was like how a teenager is narcissistic in that way. Like, she wasn't emotionally mature. I was the emotionally mature one in the family. And so I kind of became the adult. And so I felt in order to hold things together that they had to be perfect, and that I couldn't make mistakes. And then I was taught, don't ask for help, so I had to learn and do everything myself, and not let anybody else know that I didn't know how to do something, or let them know that I needed help, or ask for help. I would wait until they would ask, and I hadn't felt fear until then. Really, I had stuffed it because my mother was a single mother, and I have a younger brother and sister, and my grandmother had sent to me again when I was young, again somewhere around that 4 or 5, you take care of your mom, so she doesn't have to leave. And I was like, what? You know, so I had to grow up really fast. And I'm sure a lot of you have had to do that too. And you're not really realizing how that impacts you. So I didn't get to be a kid and have fun all the time. I had to be serious, and I had to, you know, like be on high alerts and figure out things and try and make everybody safe and make my mom safe so she doesn't leave in whatever way that my grandmother meant that she might leave, because my mom would have never left us that way, and my dad didn't leave us that way. They were both 18 when they had me, and so they were 22 and had 3 kids, and they were just immature. They didn't know what they were doing and just got in a fight, and I think my grandfather got in the middle of it and just told them to stay away, whereas I think they would have come back together. But my grandfather got in the way of that. That's what I believe, intuitively. So again, things happen and you don't know the real stories. You don't know why you're acting the way that you're acting, or why it's so important for you to not ask for help, probably because when, you know, it was like you couldn't, when you needed something and you asked and you didn't get it multiple times, it was probably, then you were just like, I'm never asking again. I'm never going to be needy. And you don't like needy, whiny people. You made a vow, a deep vow. And so that's something you're believing, and why you can't ask for help when you need help, which would be really valuable, and people love giving help. So that's, another example. But I hadn't felt fear. That was a big thing. And so when this happened, when I started with that anxiety attack and didn't know what it was, and all these other feelings and medical stuff, because I was very healthy, I rarely got sick, and I'm still that way, but it's, so it would get me into anxiety and thinking something's really wrong and I'm going to die. So that would put a whole fear. So that belief then influenced things that I would do, the reactions, how do I make myself well? I would, you know, fight it, rather than really embracing it how I do it today. But back then it was like, wow, to feel that fear, because I couldn't feel that as a little girl taking care of my mom. It would be way too overwhelming. It would have been very hard for me. So seeing all that energy that I stuffed down, and I put it into fear of heights and fear of something else. Yeah, it just came out then. It was like all of this, you know, in my 40s at this time was like, okay, you're gonna sit with all of this. This was my awakening. This is my awakening. You're gonna be awake at night, feeling this, learning things, looking at your life, looking at, you know, what comes up for you. I started feeling more, rather than the doing. I was a big doer, get things done. I could, you know, I could do a lot. I felt in my work, and my work was where I would go and I would feel when I was working on other people's bodies, and could be psychic with them, and, you know, really tune in and do that energy work. But now I had to start feeling. I had to start noticing what was going on in my body. I had to start noticing what I was thinking. I had to become the observer. This is part of awakening, is you becoming an observer and seeing where you are in your own way. And I would see that I would take really good care of everybody else, and I would be last, you know. And if I took really good care of everybody else, then I would have time left over to, that I could go play my tennis, and then I could go do my artwork at the end of the evening, you know. But I would make meals from scratch, and I would, you know, it was just like really making sure everybody had their needs met and were happy, and then I could go do my thing. I was following my intuition more. Again, I was like, that was just so strong. It was like, that was like my angels talking to me, just saying, okay, this is where we're going, because nobody else really knew. None of my friends were like me. And so a lot of me I got to see too was stuffed. You know, from a little girl, I've been psychic and knew things. And anyway, I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to stick with this time period. See how I can get off if I don't have my list. So I started following my intuition more, and that would start to lead me to, oh, look at this belief. Oh, look at that belief. Or you know, like advising me to go find. I found this woman who knew how to manage psychic abilities and knew about that. And so I went with a training with her and learning how to turn off my third eye, because my third eye was just wide open and I was just like everything. I was like a sponge. And so I learned how to manage my psychic abilities, to turn them on and off. I started becoming discerning in believing others and or following others. I started to become more discerning and looking at, who am I? Who am I? Like, who is this person, right? That's coming out. Who am I if I'm not all this stuff that I always thought I was since a little girl? And then who I've been creating, because really we are creating it. We are creating ourselves, and we're creating ourselves from those old beliefs that we've gotten since we were in the womb. Like a lot of times too, some of the stuff you're believing is what your mom, like I felt from my mom, was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Like that was in my energy field, like all the time. How am I going to do this? How am I going to take care of my mom? How am I going to make sure my brother and sister are safe? How am I going to go out in the world? Because I knew I'm here to experience some amazing things in the world, and I have. But you know, it was just like, how do I keep doing that, until I finally realized, oh my God, that's my mother, because my mother and father got pregnant with me before they were married, and my mom was supposed to go to college to become a dental assistant, and my dad was from the other side of the tracks, from my grandfather would not agree with, and so they were going to be in trouble. And so they actually moved to Denver, Colorado to have me, to get away from the reactions of their parents. So, you know, there was a lot of that in me and my feeling my mother. So again, those things influence you. Like, find out what was going on with your mom when she was pregnant with you, if she's still alive. And so you can get like, where are you feeling that? Like, where are you feeling that whatever she was anxious about or happy about, or, you know, it might be nothing, but it could be very impactful for you to find out, because that is something that's in your nervous system that is having you make choices and stuff that is not the real truth about who you are. Okay, so I just started paying more attention to me, and, you know, taking better care of me than I was before. I had to, or I wouldn't be taking care of my family. And so that allowed me to, you know, find a way to start to balance out things. And how, you know, again, I did yoga every day. I don't know if I was doing meditation then, but I did yoga, I did tennis. I walked a dog every day in this beautiful Haley's Farm in Mystic. And, I mean, I had a very good life, but the universe was saying, wake up, Marilyn, you have work to do here to get me to where I am now and on, so that I can help you, those of you who are here, who have been following me, and so that you need to see where you are not being true to yourself, and you have no idea who you are. I really had no idea back then who I am to who I am today, and how empowered and how strong and how loving. I mean, amazing. I want you to get, you know, I know a lot of people shy away from the coaching or the, you know, going to therapy or whatever, thinking that all you're going to get is you're just going to see all the stuff that's wrong with you. And I hope this is sharing with you that there's nothing wrong with you. It's the programming that you've had that is creating those ideas in your head, that's creating this world that's hard for you to move through or has you stuck. Okay, so let me see. Oh, the other thing is that I really discovered too more about what it is to be highly sensitive. Because I knew I was sensitive, but you know, I've always been the oddball, and I didn't realize that there was a lot of other highly sensitive people. So it was learning more about, oh, there's other people out there like me. And I didn't trust, yeah, and I was learning about my gifts as a highly sensitive, and I didn't trust myself because myself was determined on taking care of others, and whether what I did for them worked, or whether they were satisfied or not. And if they weren't, then something was wrong with me. I did something wrong. It was always me. Even today, sometimes it's like I'll say something, my kids will get mad, or my partner or a friend, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? You know, I don't know. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not you, right? It's just like, it's all right to be you. It's all right to not have things be perfect. It's all right for you to fuck things up, right? It's all right. There is no perfect being, and it's their response to whatever you did, and there could be more responses, where I've grown a lot in this, and I can share that with you down the road, but not today. So, and then what happened was, in this, I want you to see there's all these synchronicities of things that are coming into my life that are teaching me my intuition, the books, different books that were showing up, questions and stuff that were being applied. And then I saw What the Bleep Do We Know came to town. And I went with friends and my husband at the time to see that, and I started crying because I was like, oh my God, there's my people. And they're putting words to things that I knew, that I know. They're telling me certain parts of it are science. And, you know, there's a science to it. There's a word to define those things. There's, you know, that there's these energies that are out there, that it wasn't just me, because I had nobody to talk to about any of this. Not until later, and after that movie, then I had one other friend that we could talk about things like that together. But most of the others, they had no clue, and yeah, so I was very much alone in my awakening. And, you know, dealing with my mother and my sister in certain stuff, and, you know, growing with that and creating healthy boundaries. So I was learning the language of what it was that I knew, and that what I knew and who I was valuable and was worthy. I was also seeing that I knew a lot, but did not know, again, the language of it. I believe that this is the 8th time I've been on this planet. I have not been here thousands of times, that I mainly have lived on other planets, and that really being psychic is my first language. I feel so comfortable in that, and a lot of times, and particularly this life, or just dealing with the whole consciousness, unconscious, you know, the mind, all the science and stuff that of how to explain that to other people. I really, there's so much I know, but I did not know how you would explain that. And so sometimes I would like read a book from something from the people, some of the people in The Secret, and the you know, just different authors about you know, our world, reality, consciousness, unconsciousness, manifestation, multidimensionalities, and stuff like that. I would read these. Yes, oh, that's it. Oh my gosh, that's the word. That's why I stumble sometimes. I can see like things or feel things, and it's just, sometimes the words just don't go with it. I don't have a definition. So I want you to understand, you might have what they call gnosis. It's like, you know, things like I remember when I was in 2nd grade getting ready to go into 3rd grade, I used to go to sleep, and when I went to sleep tonight, I went to another place. I went to, and I think I did this up until that time, what I would call the other side. And I remember asking my mom, and it was completely different. It was like I went to another family, and it was in space or somewhere. I can't remember it all now, but it was, and I asked my mom, what's it like on the other side for you? I called it the other side. And she said, what are you talking about? You know, and then I told her, and all of a sudden I'm getting like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have said anything. And then she's like, oh, now we're going to have to go to church, because I don't know anything about that. And, you know, so I shut that down, and it went away. But, you know, so I had just all these experiences with angels and stuff, and not knowing how to explain it, but somehow, you know, feeling the energy enough to start trusting that in order for me to start waking up more. So all of these things coming together at different times also helped me to start to realize that I need to start making new choices. It also showed me that I am the one that is responsible for creating my world, and that I have to start thinking about myself and my powers, and, you know, all those old beliefs that have me being like, everybody else is creating the world, I'm just like living it, or the world's here and I'm just living it, I have no power in this, other than the little things that I do, which is baloney. You are so powerful, and you are responsible for creating or co-creating with Source and all of us the world that you want. But you have to start claiming that, and you have to start designing that, and you have to start thinking, and there's layers and layers to this, and I don't want to make it, there's layers you can go through fairly easy, and then there's some layers that are going to, or different things. Every individual is different about like what's there. Like, you know, one of the things that I think, I worked with John Asseroff for like 1.5 years in his programs, and you know, the one thing I told him at the end, like, I could see all the men had no trouble with what he was teaching, and I understood all the mind stuff. I understood the rules of the universe, all of that, and the men were successful, and the women who had men partners were successful. The women who were on their own were struggling, and I finally realized we're struggling because nobody's addressing how the feminine has been suppressed and is second nature. Like, we can't make as much money as men. We, you know, just in different ways, where it's not our job to be taking jobs away from the men. It's not our job, you know, depending on how you were brought up, you're not as good as a man in the business world. Like, I love business. I love being an entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurs. I love the creativeness of business. I am not a corporate business person. Could not do that for the life of me. And so it's, you know, but it's like there's a whole deep rooted program that's, you know, generations old, that's been ingrained in us. And so it's like learning that, you know, is that in the way, like what, instead of, so what would happen, to explain this a little bit, what would happen was that then if you were a female and you were going to, you know, you were going to make it in business, right? You were going to be a 6 and 7 figure or more business person. You had to become like a man. And I knew I was not going to do that. I was not going to sell out my feminine, although I was much more towards the masculine, because that's where I felt I had to be safe in a large part of my life. And this is what I'm noticing, right? During all this time, I'm noticing all these things about how I'm playing this game on earth, the world that I'm creating. And so I kept seeing like, oh, you're not being successful at this time because you're thinking you can't be as successful as a man. You're not, you feel devalued next to a man. You feel a man has more power and more freedom than a woman. You feel you are going to have to sacrifice your whole self in order to reach what it would be easy for a man to be successful at, you know, things like that. So again, this is my awakening. This is my process. This is my inner work that I'm doing. I'm finding all these beliefs, these deep vows, this programming that we have. So let me talk a little bit about the programming. So, you know, where do we get our programming from, right? So we get it from our family. So ancestors, what the ancestors passed down, and through the family lines. This is how we do it. We all are blah, 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 blah. We all work hard and sacrifice and we don't get paid for it or whatever. Or we're, you know, money's everything and we don't care about individuals, or, you know, I'm not going to go in. There's so many things. You're just going to see. It's really like amazing when you start seeing all this. So, right, family, ancestors, friends, close friends, school. School teaches you, schooling has taught you what to think, not how to think. So what are they teaching you? What are they teaching you? To obey, to sit, to obey, to listen, to not, you know, not be a free thinker. Others much more. So all your different schooling, what has that taught you? Then there's religion, or even spiritual training, whatever that is, whatever you learned in that. And you know, all those dogma and rules, are those true? Do they fit for you? Are they a match? Do they have anything to do with you? Do you really believe them? Is that true in this age and time? Then there is culture, there's nationality, there's, you know, government and its ruling, depending on how you've been brought up. There's the media, and so like media, so news, there's propaganda, there's brainwashing through marketing. So that is in every type of marketing. And you don't realize those commercials that you hear over and over again are programming you. Gaming, playing games and stuff is programming you to get used to wars, to get used to battle, to get used to killing, so it doesn't seem as shocking. Music, television shows, movies, again, those things that you hear in repetition over and over again, that you sing, words are spells. They're putting spells on you. You have to think that there's feelings that go through your body, through the music, through all of those things. And so some of them were, I'm sure, very wonderful, and then others aren't, but you're not realizing that what it is that you're taking in, because we've just been taught to just go around and do all this, you know, to take in everything, and taking in everything's okay. And so anyway, looking at all of those things, all the ways that you've been influenced by those things, what are the beliefs that you've gotten through those? What are the, you know, the beliefs about sexes? Like, what's going on now? Like, look at all the stuff that is going on now, all the media and everything, like how you look. If you don't look this way, if you don't make love this way, if you don't have this much money, if you know that they're making you feel like you're broken, like something's broken. And then there's all these advertisements on you know, all the ailments. So it gets people start thinking oh, do I have that? Am I sick? Instead of, you know, what you focus on, you create. This is how powerful you are. You've got to realize what you're focusing on, you are creating it. And do you want to create that in your world? Do you want to create the arthritis, the blue pill, the purple pill, the whatever pill in your life? What is it that you want to create? And that's what is happening in the awakening, is that you are waking up to realize that this is a false identity. There's things that are going on here that are wanting to come to your attention, so you can change what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how you're acting, make new choices in order to be creating the new world, your new life, your loving life, your healthy life, your successful life, whatever that is to you, your family. All right, let me read some of these things. So all of this has led me to study various things, to study psychology, mystical, spiritual, about the mind, neurology. You know, did a lot of the Dr. Joe Dispenza. You know, just went into all different tools, energy work. I was doing that in my body work already. It taught me to, you know, it led me to becoming a coach. I trusted my intuition, but one day I knew that I was coming to an end and doing the body work the way I did it, because, you know, it was hands-on. Now I'm much more energy this way. My intuition said, put a piece of paper on the kitchen counter, and I want you to write down in a word or two all the things you love, the things you're passionate about, you know, what's really important to you. So I did that for a week, and then it told me, go back to this email that this woman sent me, a friend sent me, like 2 years prior, about coaching. And I thought she thought I should be a tennis coach. I didn't realize it was a life coach. And I was like, I'm not going to be a tennis coach. That's not my purpose. Anyway, I went back to it and found out it was life coach. And then I was like, oh, okay. So they said, now research what's the best school. And so I did. And then it said, take the introductory course. And I took that, and it was like, oh my God, I meant to do this. So again, following my intuition, having to break down all those other areas of my life, little by little, in order to be able to see this, in order to be able to, you know, be able to get to this point that I can start doing that. And I started creating a whole new world in my life. My life started changing as soon as I started letting go of those old beliefs. As soon as you let go of them, the natural you starts coming out, starts bubbling up. So I didn't know how deep the beliefs and programming went that affected all areas of my life: relationships, health, wealth, career, you know, everything, financials. I didn't realize I was responsible for making up my reality. You are responsible for making up your reality. So you've got to get seeing what's in the way. A lot of times I say, Marilyn, old Marilyn over here, new Marilyn's taking this next step. Old Marilyn over here, new Marilyn's taking next step. I didn't realize I had so much power. I didn't realize I was worthy, valuable, gifted. So are you. I didn't realize I was living other people's perspective. And that is why I wasn't getting what I wanted. I wasn't feeling satisfied. And I felt so vulnerable. So are you. I was in fear my world would crumble down. I had no control over it. I was at the mercy of other people. Do you feel that way? Have you felt that way? I had abandoned myself. But I didn't know this, and this is why I was feeling abandoned. Because I had abandoned me. I had abandoned what was important to me and put other people first. And I've learned that I can affect so many more people by working on me than I can working on, you know, individuals that I have no control over. They have to. I, you know, realize, you know, nobody else can change you. You're the only one who can change you. And I can help guide you there. I can help you see those limiting beliefs and things that are in the way and help guide you to keep focusing on where you want to go. I was the one thinking I wasn't worthy, that I wasn't abundant, that I wasn't enough. This is why it's important for you to do your inner work. This is why it's so important for you to discover what you are believing that is not your true experience. It's not who you are. It's not your world. It's other people's. Other people who have agendas, other people who just happen to be in your life and were big influencers to your life, and a lot of innocence in there, but not yours. But not yours. And you need to take that power back, because this is where your creative force is. You're here to create your experience, not live somebody else's. You came here for you, not for somebody else's. You might be helping somebody else, like I'm helping you, or somebody else if it's not you, but you came here to be a part of this process. And so anyway, that is you doing your work affects a lot more people energetically. You'll start to realize how much your energy affects all of this, affects humanity, affects your family, affects the religion, affects so many different things. And I know it's hard, might be hard for you to believe any of this if you're still in your old reality, if you're not waking up yet. But if you're getting little pieces of it, I hope my story has helped you to kind of see how that part comes together. So I shared with you how you've been programmed with different beliefs. And it's also part of the programming too, is these deep inner vows that you make as little kids saying, I'm not going to be like my mean dad or my mean mom. I'm not going to have a lot of money because those people are evil. Or I'm not, there's not enough love in the world to go around. You know, so there's like all these different beliefs. I'm not safe. The world's not safe. All these deep vows that we hold on to. I'll never be abused again. So we go through the world like this, you know, like blocking. We're like playing football instead of creating a new game. Let's create a new game so you don't have to be in defense all the time. So you can be creating, so you can feel freer. And, you know, a lot of this it's also through all the division that's happening. And we're coming into, I'm wanting to create a world where we're united. And so the divisions are happening in the sexes and how sexual you are and whether you can have pleasure, whether it's the masculine against the feminine, political parties, division of labor, division of pay, division in neighborhoods. you know, division of diets, financial divisions. You know, it's like, where can we break it apart? Because if we can keep breaking it down smaller and smaller and smaller, and you're paying attention to all these little things instead of the big picture of your ability to create, your ability to choose how it is you want to live, what you want to live, and manifesting that. And also coming from your heart instead of this mind that's dividing, because there is no reason to divide. That is just part of marketing. That is just part of an experience out there. If we don't pay attention to it and we create something where there is no division, and that we understand we're all one, and that we are all a fractal of God, and that what's happening to one of us is happening to all of us. And so how can we start choosing things in favor of all of us now? So I want to thank you for listening to my story if you got this far, and hopefully there's been some ahas and revelations in that for you, that you can start to see, like, oh, I am an awakening, and these things are mattering, do matter, and that there is growth in that, and that you can ask for help, because we're not supposed to be doing this alone. Again, uniting, and to be it doesn't serve you to be the perfectionist. I'm an expert at that, to know that. And I'm here to help serve you and help you become more creative too. It's like, if you're going by other people's values and what's important to them and how they want, or how they want you to live, then you're kind of stuck. You're stuck in this box that's not your box, and it's not creative, and it's not exciting, and it's not fulfilling, and it just is not going to serve you or anybody else around you, other than maybe the one person that is wanting you to stay stuck. And if somebody's wanting you to stay stuck and not shine your light and get out there and play and enhance yourself in the world, then that's not somebody you necessarily want to be staying with. So anyway, I love you. I hope this was helpful. Leave me a message, share an experience if you want. Right? And also I have some one-on-one coaching times open. Come coach with me. Come, let's change your world. If you work with me, your life is going to change forever, and it will just keep changing however you want it to change, and you will be having so much more fun. But I know that it does feel scary in the beginning, and I'm just here to tell you, you're going to be just fine. And it's very exciting, fulfilling, and so much heart in it, so much loving in it, such a different experience. And when you realize how lovable you are, you know, you're gonna just be going, oh my God, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. You know, just, you are just an amazing soul. You're an amazing soul. Take care. Bye.